The morning sun shone over the quiet neighborhood of Oakview Park. Birds sang on the fences and the air was calm. Raj was watering his small garden while his wife Meena set the breakfast table on the porch. Their son Arun was getting ready for school, tying his shoelaces and humming a cheerful tune. Life in Oakview Park was peaceful most days, but trouble was about to start. Raj and Meena had lived in Oakview Park for 3 years. It was a clean community managed by a group called the Homeowners Association, or HOA. Most people in the neighborhood were friendly, but one person always caused tension. Her name was Karen. She was the head of the HOA and took her job too seriously. She always checked lawns, driveways, and fences. She even complained about kids' bicycles left outside for more than 10 minutes. That morning, Raj noticed Karen walking toward his house with a clipboard in her hand. Her steps were sharp and her eyes looked at everything with suspicion. Raj sighed quietly. He already knew this visit meant trouble. Karen stopped near the mailbox and pointed at the front fence. "Raj," she said in a strict tone, "your fence paint is fading. It looks untidy and breaks the HOA rules. You were told last month to repaint it." Raj turned off the water hose and gave her a polite smile. "Yes, Karen, I remember, but it rained all week. I plan to repaint it this weekend when the weather's dry." Karen wrote something on her clipboard. "That's not an excuse. HOA rules are clear. You will receive a fine of $200 for non-compliance." Meena came to the porch holding a plate of parathas and tea. "Good morning, Karen," she said kindly. "Please don't worry. Raj will paint it soon. It's just been bad weather." Karen ignored the friendly tone. "Rules are rules. If you don't follow them, you'll pay the fine. Expect the notice in your mailbox today." She turned around and walked away without another word. Meena sighed and placed the plate on the table. She always finds something wrong. Last month it was about Arun's football net. Before that she said our grass was too long. Raj nodded. She wants to show power. "But I won't pay this fine. It's unfair." That evening Raj found an envelope in the mailbox. Inside was a notice printed in bold letters. It said, "Fine for property violation, $200. Raj placed it on the table. "This is nonsense," he said. "I'll not pay for a fence I'm already planning to fix." The next day, Karen came again with another paper. "This is your reminder. You must pay within 5 days or face further action." Raj tried to stay calm. "Karen, please. I'm not refusing to follow rules. I only need time. I'll paint the fence this weekend." Karen frowned. "If everyone breaks deadlines, the community will look like a mess." "I don't care about your plans. Pay the fine or I'll take it to higher authorities." Meena watched from the doorway. She knew Karen's threats were empty, but still felt uneasy. The HOA had power to trouble homeowners, and Karen enjoyed that power. Days passed, and Raj spent his weekend painting the fence bright white. It looked beautiful again. Meena smiled proudly when she saw it shining in the morning light. "Now she can't complain anymore," she said. But on Monday, another envelope arrived. This time, the fine had increased to $300 for late payment. Raj couldn't believe his eyes. "What kind of system is this?" he muttered. "I fixed everything, but they still want money." He walked straight to the HOA office near the entrance of the community. Karen was sitting behind the desk with her usual stern face. "Karen, the fence is painted. Why did you send another fine?" he asked. She looked at him coldly. "The fine remains until you pay it. Even if you fix the issue, you missed the payment deadline. The rule says the fine increases after 5 days." Raj clenched his jaw. "That's unfair. You know the reason for the delay." Karen shrugged. "You signed the HOA agreement when you bought the house. It's not my problem." Raj left the office angry but decided not to argue further. That evening he told Meena what happened. Meena listened quietly, then said in a calm voice, "Raj, we did nothing wrong. We fixed the fence. We will not pay for something unjust." The next day Karen came again, this time with 2 HOA members. They stood near Raj's house and pointed at the gate, pretending to inspect something. Arun watched from the window and whispered to his mother, "Why are they looking at our house again?" Meena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, Beta. We have done everything right." That afternoon, while Raj was at work, Meena received a loud knock on the door. When she opened it, Karen was standing there again, looking angry. "This is your final notice," Karen said. "Since you refused to pay, I'm reporting you for violation and disrespecting HOA authority." Meena stayed polite. "Karen, please understand. We fixed the problem. We're not refusing rules, just unfair fines. Karen crossed her arms. I'm done talking. You'll see what happens when you ignore HOA orders. Later that evening, Raj came home and saw Meena worried. She said she's reporting us, Meena said softly. I don't know what that means. Raj sat down and rubbed his forehead. It means more trouble, but we'll stay strong. The next morning was calm, but by afternoon, a police car stopped in front of their house. Neighbors peeked from windows, whispering among themselves. Karen stood proudly near the sidewalk, talking to the officers. Raj and Meena stepped outside, their hearts beating fast. An officer approached them politely. Good afternoon, sir. We received a call about a conflict with the HOA. Are you Raj? Raj nodded. Yes, officer. We have no conflict. This is just a misunderstanding, Karen interrupted quickly. They refused to pay fines and violated the HOA code multiple times. They are being uncooperative. The officer turned to her. Ma'am, please let me talk to them first. Raj explained everything, how he had repainted the fence, how the fine was unfair, and how they were being threatened. The officer listened carefully and looked around. The fence was new, clean, and perfect. Meena joined the conversation, her tone calm but firm. We always follow rules. But this time the rule was used unfairly. We just want fair treatment. The officer looked at the fence again, then at Meena. He noticed the effort they had put into maintaining their home. After a moment of silence, he turned back to Karen and said, Ma'am, I see no violation here. Their property is in great condition. Karen's face turned red, but they didn't pay the fine. That's still a rule. The officer straightened his posture. A rule should be fair. You can't fine someone for something they already fixed. This is harassment, not management. He turned toward Meena and Raj and gave a respectful nod. You both handled this with patience. Thank you for being calm. Then, to everyone's surprise, the officer gave a salute to Meena before leaving. The neighbors who had been watching clapped quietly from their porches. Karen stood speechless, holding her clipboard tightly. Raj smiled for the first time in days. Justice speaks for itself, he whispered to Meena. Meena smiled back. We didn't need to fight. We just needed to stay right. But deep inside, Raj knew this was not the end. Karen wouldn't stay silent for long. Something told him the real battle with the HOA was only beginning. After the police officer left that afternoon, calm returned to Oakview Park, but it was not true peace. The neighbors whispered about what had happened. Some people admired Raj and Meena for standing up to the HOA. Others stayed silent, afraid of making Karen angry. Karen had ruled the neighborhood for years. No one had ever dared to question her before. Raj tried to return to normal life. He went back to his office work while Meena focused on keeping the house neat. Aaron played with his football near the fence, proud that the officer had supported his parents. Still, Meena noticed that Karen kept passing their house every morning, writing things in her small notebook. It was clear she was planning something new. One afternoon, Raj received a letter in the mail again. His hands tightened as he read the heading. It was not a fine this time. It was a notice for an HOA community meeting. The paper said that all homeowners must attend to discuss issues regarding neighborhood discipline. Meena read it over his shoulder and sighed. It sounds like she wants to make an example of us. Raj nodded. Yes, but this time we will not stay quiet. We will go and speak the truth. The meeting was scheduled for Saturday evening in the community hall. When Raj and Meena arrived, many residents were already seated. Some smiled politely at them. Others avoided eye contact. Karen stood at the front beside a small microphone. Behind her was a board with the HOA rules printed in large letters. Karen cleared her throat and began to speak. Good evening, everyone. As head of Oakview Park HOA, I have called this meeting to discuss serious violations of community order. Some homeowners have ignored repeated notices and refused to cooperate. This behavior cannot continue. She paused and looked straight at Raj and Meena. The crowd turned their eyes toward them too. Raj kept a calm face while Meena held his hand under the table. Karen continued, The HOA exists to maintain peace, beauty, and respect in our community. When one family decides they are above the rules, it causes disorder. We cannot let that happen. Raj slowly stood up. His voice was steady. Karen, may I speak? Karen frowned but said, You may. Raj faced the crowd. Friends, my family has lived here for 3 years. We always followed the rules. When the fence needed paint, I painted it. When the grass grew long, I trimmed it. The problem began when the HOA fined us unfairly. Even after fixing the issue, the fine increased without reason. We did nothing wrong. Some people in the crowd nodded quietly. Karen's lips tightened. The rule says the fine stands until paid. You cannot change that. Meena stood beside Raj. Her voice was gentle but strong. Rules should be fair. If the purpose of the rule is to keep homes clean and we did that, why must we still pay? It feels less like community care and more like punishment. The hall grew quiet. One elderly man from the back raised his hand. I agree with them, he said. Last year I was fined for a missing flower pot. When I replaced it, they still made me pay. I didn't speak because I was afraid. A woman beside him added, Yes, my children's bicycles caused us trouble too. I thought we were the only ones. Voices began to rise across the room. Many residents shared their small stories of unfair fines and unnecessary warnings. Raj realized that Karen had built her authority through fear. Now that people were speaking up, her control was shaking. Karen raised her hand to quiet everyone. These are lies, she said. Every action I took was based on written rules. If you all start questioning them, this neighborhood will fall apart. Raj turned to the crowd again. No one wants to break rules. We only want fairness. The HOA should help families, not threaten them. For a long moment, silence filled the hall. Then a man named Yusuf, one of the HOA committee members, spoke softly. Maybe it is time we review how we apply the rules. There have been too many complaints lately. Karen shot him an angry look. You are supposed to support the HOA, not go against it. Yusuf did not back down. I support the community, not control. The room filled with quiet approval. Karen's face turned pale. She grabbed the microphone again. Fine, she said sharply. We will conduct a review. But until then, Raj's fine remains. He must pay. Raj took a deep breath. I will not pay for something unjust. If you want to take me to court, do it. The truth will stand. The meeting ended with confusion and mixed feelings. Some people went to shake Raj's hand, thanking him for speaking up. Others left quietly, unsure what would happen next. Karen walked away quickly, her shoes clicking hard on the floor. Meena watched her go and said softly, She won't forget this. Over the next week, strange things started happening. Raj's mailbox was filled with old notices. Someone threw dry leaves on their freshly painted fence. Aaron's football disappeared from the yard. Meena noticed Karen watching from her window each evening. The tension in the air grew heavier. One evening, Raj came home to find a new notice on the door. This one was different. It said, Final warning, possible eviction review. Raj's heart sank. Eviction? How can they do this? Meena read the letter carefully. It says we have violated multiple HOA rules and disturbed community order. But there is no proof of that. Raj sat down at the table, thinking hard. If she's trying to push us out, we'll fight. We'll gather evidence and talk to the local housing department. Meena nodded. We will not let her scare us. We have done nothing wrong. The next morning, Raj began to collect papers. He printed photos of the fence before and after painting. He gathered receipts of paint and maintenance work. He also asked some neighbors for written statements. Many agreed to help, saying they too were tired of Karen's behavior. By the end of the week, Raj had a full file of proof. He went to the HOA office again, but this time he asked to meet all committee members, not just Karen. Yusuf was there along with two others. Karen sat behind the desk with crossed arms. Raj placed the folder on the table. Here is all the evidence. We have followed every rule. The fine is unfair and the warning is false. Yusuf looked through the papers carefully. The other members nodded. Karen stayed silent, her face stiff. After a few minutes, Yusuf said, Everything here is clear. The fence was fixed before the second fine. I see no reason for eviction. Raj thanked them, but Karen suddenly stood up. You all are making a mistake. If you let this go, everyone will start breaking rules. Yusuf replied calmly, No, Karen. They are not breaking rules. You are breaking trust. Karen's eyes filled with anger. She grabbed her notebook and stormed out of the room. The others looked at Raj and Meena and smiled. You did the right thing, one of them said. We will send you an official clearance letter soon. When Raj and Meena walked back home, they felt lighter. The air seemed calmer, and even the neighbors waved more warmly than before. Arun ran to them, holding his missing football. I found it behind the bushes, he said happily. Meena smiled and looked at Raj. Maybe the storm is ending. Raj nodded slowly. Maybe, but Karen will not stop so easily. People like her hate losing control. As the sun set behind the quiet houses, the family stood together near their bright white fence, not knowing that the next test was already on its way. The following week in Oakview Park was strangely quiet. The neighbors seemed more relaxed since the meeting, and several people started to talk to Raj again. Some thanked him for standing up to the HOA. They said his courage gave them strength to question unfair rules. Raj felt proud, but he also stayed alert. He knew Karen would not let things go easily. Meena tried to bring peace back to the house. She planted new flowers along the fence and cleaned the porch every morning. Aaron helped her after school, laughing as he watered the plants. For a few days, it almost felt like life was normal again. One afternoon, while Raj was at work, Meena heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, she saw Yusuf standing there with a serious look on his face. He held a small folder in his hand. "Good afternoon, Meena," he said politely. "May I come in for a minute?" Meena nodded and invited him inside. "Please sit. Would you like tea?" "No, thank you," he said quietly. "I came to show you something important." He opened the folder and placed a few papers on the table. They were copies of HOA financial records, meeting notes, and complaint reports. Some of the pages had Karen's signature. Meena looked confused. "What is all this?" Yusuf leaned closer and lowered his voice. "I found these while checking HOA files. Something is not right. There are missing amounts in the community fund, and many of the complaints were never approved by the full committee. It seems Karen has been using her position to collect fines and spend the money without record." Meena's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Yusuf said. "Look here. These are fines collected from 10 houses, including yours. The money never reached the HOA bank account. It was recorded as cash received but never deposited. I think she has been keeping it for herself." Meena sat back in shock. "This is serious. Raj must see this. We need to stop her." Yusuf nodded. "Be careful. If she finds out I gave you these copies, she will cause trouble for me too. Keep them safe until Raj returns." When Raj came home that evening, Meena told him everything. He read the papers carefully and felt his anger rise. She has been cheating everyone. No wonder she keeps issuing fines. It was never about rules. It was about money. Meena said, "We need to take this to the housing authority or the police." Raj thought for a moment. "Not yet. If we act too soon, she might destroy the original records. We need to gather more proof first." Over the next few days, Raj quietly talked to other neighbors. He asked if they had receipts or copies of their fine payments. Many people said they never received official receipts. They had only given cash to Karen directly. Some of them felt embarrassed, but Raj explained that this information could help everyone. Meanwhile, Karen noticed the change in the neighborhood. People no longer smiled when she passed by. Some even closed their doors when she came to collect dues. She could sense that something was happening behind her back. Her eyes followed Raj whenever he walked to his car, and she often stood at her window watching the Sharma family. One evening, she decided to visit Raj again. She knocked on his door with her usual sharp sound. Raj opened the door calmly. Meena stood beside him. "Good evening, Karen," Raj said. "How can we help you?" Karen crossed her arms. "I hear you have been speaking to other residents about the HOA. That is against the rules. Homeowners cannot share private information." Raj kept his tone polite. "We only talk about fairness, not private information. People have a right to know how their money is used." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Be careful, Raj, you are creating tension. The HOA can take serious action if this continues." Meena stepped forward. "We are not afraid of action, only injustice. Please leave us alone." Karen glared at her for a moment, then turned and walked away. Raj watched her leave and said quietly, "She is nervous. That means we are close." That night, Raj called Yusuf and told him they needed more evidence. Yusuf agreed to help. He said there was a computer in the HOA office where all the transactions were recorded. If they could get the data, they would have full proof of Karen's actions. The next evening, Raj and Yusuf went to the HOA office. It was located near the entrance gate and closed at night, but Yusuf had a key as a committee member. They entered quietly and turned on the lights. The office smelled of paper and dust. Files were stacked in metal cabinets and the computer sat on a wooden desk. Yusuf turned on the computer and opened the records folder. He pointed at the screen. "Here, look at this line. These are the fines Karen collected this year. Many entries are missing payment details." Raj leaned closer. "Can you copy this?" Yusuf nodded and inserted a small USB drive. He saved the files and then printed a few pages for backup. Just as they were about to leave, they heard a sound outside. Someone was walking near the door. Raj quickly turned off the lights. The two men stayed silent. The sound came closer, and then the door handle moved slightly. Raj's heart raced. After a few seconds, the footsteps faded away. They waited for another minute before moving. Yusuf whispered, "It might have been the guard, or maybe Karen." They left quietly and locked the door behind them. Once outside, Raj took a deep breath. "We got what we needed. Now we can expose her." The next morning, Karen arrived at the office and immediately noticed that some files had been moved. Her face turned pale. She checked the computer and found that the last access time was late in the evening. "Who was here?" she muttered to herself. Then she saw Yusuf's name on the sign-in sheet. Her suspicion turned to anger. That afternoon, she called for an emergency HOA meeting. When everyone arrived, she stood in front of them with a stern expression. "Someone entered the office last night without permission. Important files were touched. This is a violation of HOA security." Yusuf looked calm. "I was there, Karen. I went to check some reports. I am a committee member, so I had the right." Karen raised her voice. "You had no approval. You and Raj are working together to cause trouble." Raj spoke clearly. "We are looking for truth, not trouble. We found evidence of missing funds. Would you like me to show everyone?" The room went silent. Karen froze for a moment, then tried to laugh. "Missing funds? That is a serious claim. Do you have proof?" Raj opened the folder and placed printed pages on the table. The papers showed clear differences between collected fines and recorded deposits. The other committee members gathered around, reading in shock. One woman said, "Karen, this shows $10,000 unaccounted for." Karen's face turned red. "These papers are fake. They mean nothing." Yusuf stood beside Raj. "They are not fake. They came from the HOA computer." "You cannot deny your own records." The members began to whisper among themselves. Raj took out the USB drive and handed it to Yusuf. "Here is the data. You can check it with the housing authority." Karen tried to grab the papers, but one of the members stopped her. "No, Karen. We will verify this first." Raj looked around the room and said, "All we wanted was fairness. Now everyone can see what has been happening." Karen's voice shook. "You have no right to take our files," Yusuf replied firmly. "The community has every right to know how its money is used." The meeting ended in chaos. Some members stayed to discuss further action. Raj and Meena walked back home together. Meena's hand trembled slightly as she held his arm. "Do you think she will try something again?" she asked. Raj looked at the houses around them, many neighbors standing at their doors watching. "Yes," he said softly. "People like her do not give up easily, but now we have truth on our side." That night, the lights in Karen's house stayed on until very late. From his window, Raj could see her pacing back and forth. He knew she was planning her next move, and he knew it would not be simple. After the confrontation at the HOA office, life in Oakview Park changed slowly. Raj and Meena felt more confident. They knew the truth was on their side, but they also understood that Karen was dangerous when challenged. Every morning, Meena made sure the front garden looked perfect, and Raj checked the fence, making small adjustments to show that they were careful homeowners. Aaron ran and played outside freely, now proud to be part of a family that stood up for fairness. One morning, Raj received a phone call from Yusuf. "Raj," he said in a low voice, "Karen is trying to call another emergency meeting. She wants to accuse you and Meena of theft and unauthorized entry into the HOA office." Raj exhaled deeply. "I expected that. But we have proof now, and she cannot lie without being exposed." "Still," Yusuf warned, "we should prepare. Gather everyone willing to support you. She will try to intimidate people." By the afternoon, Raj and Meena began visiting neighbors. Many of them were still nervous. Some were hesitant, fearing Karen's power. But as Raj explained the missing funds and showed the proof from the computer files, people started to speak openly. One by one, more neighbors agreed to attend the next meeting and back Raj's claim for fairness. The emergency HOA meeting was scheduled for Friday evening in the community hall. As Raj and Meena entered, they noticed Karen waiting at the front. Her expression was sharp, her arms folded. The room was full of residents and committee members. Some whispered quietly, clearly supportive of Raj and Meena. Karen began speaking immediately. "I have called this meeting because There are allegations against me and the HOA. These allegations are false and meant to damage the community's trust. She glanced at Raj. You have accused me of dishonesty and theft. Raj raised his hand calmly. Karen, I do not accuse you. The evidence speaks for itself. The documents we found in the office show missing funds and unrecorded fines. We only want transparency and fairness. Karen's eyes narrowed. Those files were accessed without permission. That is a violation. You broke HOA rules. Yusuf stood beside Raj. Yes, we accessed the office, but only to check the official records. Raj and Meena have not removed or destroyed anything. They only copied the data. This is not breaking rules. This is protecting the community. Some residents nodded in agreement. One elderly woman, Mrs. Khan, spoke up. I have paid fines to Karen in cash many times. I never received receipts. I want my money accounted for too. Another man added, we all deserve to know how the HOA handles funds. We cannot live in fear anymore. The room filled with murmurs of agreement. Karen's face grew red. She waved her hand sharply. This is rebellion. You all must follow the rules, not side with these people who break the law. Raj remained calm. We have not broken any law. The law and the community rules are separate. If the HOA collects money, it must be recorded and transparent. That is fairness. Yusuf turned to the committee members. Look at these documents. The digital records show fines collected and missing amounts. The paper receipts show payments made. It is clear there is a problem in the HOA office, and Karen was responsible for keeping records. Karen tried to argue, but the members whispered among themselves. One of them, a younger woman named Priya, said softly, I checked the files too. She cannot deny this. The room fell quiet. Karen's hands trembled slightly as she realized that most of the committee and residents now doubted her. She looked around, searching for support, but few eyes met hers with agreement. Raj continued, We all want Oakview Park to be a beautiful and safe community, but that is impossible if trust is broken. We do not fight for power, only for truth. Mrs. Khan stood and clapped her hands. We all need truth. Enough of fear and fines. Several residents joined, clapping quietly. Soon the hall was filled with supportive applause. Karen shouted, This is unfair. I have worked hard for this community. You cannot challenge me like this. Priya spoke up firmly. Karen, hard work does not excuse dishonesty. We are all responsible for the HOA. The community deserves answers. Yusuf held up the USB drive with the computer records. Here is the digital proof. We will send it to the housing authority and bank auditors. If any records were manipulated, it will show clearly. Karen tried to grab the USB drive, but Priya blocked her. No, you will not touch this. We need the full review. At that moment, a few neighbors who had not spoken before raised their voices. We support Raj and Meena, one man said. They did the right thing for all of us. Another woman added, Karen has misused her power. It is time for honesty. The committee members whispered quickly among themselves. Yusuf turned to the residents. We will organize a vote to temporarily remove Karen from her HOA duties until the investigation is complete. Everyone has the right to vote. Karen's face turned pale. You cannot do that. I am the head. I have authority. Yusuf replied, Authority comes with responsibility. Misusing it breaks the trust. Until the issue is resolved, you cannot control the community funds. Raj and Meena held hands and looked around. Arun peeked from behind a chair, feeling proud of his parents. The room's energy shifted. People were no longer afraid. They were ready to stand for fairness. The vote was taken that evening. Each resident quietly wrote their choice on a small slip of paper. After counting, the result was clear. Karen was temporarily removed from her duties. The committee agreed to work together to review all fines and funds. Transparency would be enforced and any missing money would be investigated further. Karen's voice shook as she protested, but no one listened. She realized her control was gone. She packed her papers and left, her shoes clicking on the floor. Raj felt a quiet relief. After the meeting, the residents gathered around Raj and Meena. You have given us courage, said Mrs. Khan. We were too afraid to speak before. Meena smiled. It was not just us. It was all of you. You spoke up too, Yusuf added. Now Oakview Park can be a community built on honesty. The rules must be fair and everyone must follow them, including the HOA head. That night, Raj, Meena, and Arun sat together in the garden. The white fence reflected the soft glow of the streetlights. Aaron kicked his football gently toward the fence and laughed. Mina said softly, "It feels peaceful again." "The neighborhood is changing for the better." Raj nodded.
"Yes, but we must stay vigilant."
"Some people do not give up easily. Karen may return with another plan, but now we are stronger together." Aaron smiled and hugged his mother. "I am proud of you, Mama. Papa too." Mina hugged him back and whispered, "We only did what was right. Always remember that." Across the street, the neighbors' lights stayed on longer that evening. They spoke quietly with one another, sharing their relief and hope. The fear that Karen had spread over the years was slowly disappearing. People laughed softly in their yards, and for the first time they felt like a real community. Raj looked at the bright white fence and thought about the journey they had endured. From the first unfair fine to standing in front of the whole neighborhood, it had been a long struggle. But now he realized the power of truth and unity was stronger than fear. As the stars appeared in the sky, Mina placed her hand on Raj's shoulder. "No matter what happens, we will face it together. Our family, our neighbors, our community. That is our strength." Raj smiled and looked at Arun, who was happily kicking the football. "Yes, Mina. Together we are stronger than any challenge." The night air felt calm and full of promise. Oakview Park had survived one storm, but its true spirit, the courage of its people, was finally waking. And that spirit would not be silenced again. The days after the emergency HOA meeting passed slowly but peacefully. The temporary removal of Karen from her duties gave Oakview Park a chance to breathe. Residents no longer worried about unfair fines or constant inspections. Instead, they began to talk with one another, share gardening tips, and help each other maintain their homes. Raj and Mina felt proud that they had sparked a change that affected everyone. Yusuf, along with 2 other committee members, began reviewing all the fines and financial records. They discovered more irregularities than anyone had imagined. Several homeowners had paid fines for small issues that were never official violations. Most of the money had been collected directly by Karen in cash and never recorded. Raj and Mina volunteered to help organize the records. Aaron helped too, bringing folders and carrying small stacks of papers to the living room. Mina laughed as Arun accidentally dropped one stack on the floor, scattering receipts everywhere. "Be careful, Aaron," she said gently. "These papers are very important." Aaron looked up sheepishly. "I'm sorry, Mama, I want to help." "You are helping, Beta," Raj said. "Even small help counts." By the end of the week, they had compiled all necessary evidence to present to the local housing authority. The committee prepared a formal report documenting missing funds, unfair fines, and Karen's repeated misuse of authority. Yusuf assured Raj and Mina that the report would be submitted carefully, leaving no room for Karen to escape accountability. Meanwhile, Karen had become a figure of quiet tension in the neighborhood. Her reputation was no longer intimidating. Some neighbors who had once avoided her now openly refused to cooperate with her attempts to regain control. Karen tried to send emails and letters demanding reinstatement, but the HOA committee refused to respond until the investigation concluded. One morning, Raj and Mina received an official notice from the local housing authority. The notice requested their presence for a formal hearing regarding the HOA complaint. They arrived at the housing office together, with Arun holding his mother's hand. The officer in charge, Mr. Anil, greeted them warmly. "Good morning," Mr. Anil said. "We have reviewed your complaint and the supporting documents. We have also received statements from other homeowners confirming the issues. Please describe your experience." Raj calmly explained the entire story, from the first unfair fine for the fence to Karen's threats, the police visit, and the discovery of missing funds. Mina added details about how Karen had intimidated neighbors and used fear to maintain her authority. Arun even spoke briefly, telling the officer how he had felt scared when Karen visited their home. Mr. Anil listened carefully, taking notes. After a long discussion, he nodded. "We have enough evidence to take formal action against Karen. The HOA must refund all unfair fines and follow proper accounting procedures. Additionally, Karen is prohibited from holding any position in the HOA for the next 5 years." Raj and Mina felt a wave of relief. "Thank you," Raj said. "It is not just about us. It is about fairness for everyone in Oakview Park." "Yes," Mr. Anil replied. "Your courage and honesty have made a difference." When they returned home, the news spread quickly through the neighborhood. Many neighbors came to their porch congratulating them. Mrs. Khan brought freshly baked cookies. "You did what no one dared to do," she said. "You gave us all courage to speak the truth." Aaron ran to the porch waving his football. "We won, Mama, Papa." Mina hugged him tightly. "Yes, Beta. We won because we did what was right." Raj looked around at the smiling neighbors and said, "This victory is for all of us. Together, we have changed the community." In the following weeks, the HOA began to function properly. The committee established clear rules for fines, receipts, and property inspections. Residents were given access to records and encouraged to report any irregularities. The atmosphere of fear that Karen had created vanished. People felt safe and respected in their own homes. One sunny afternoon, as Raj and Mina sat on their porch enjoying tea, Aaron ran up with his football. "Mama, Papa, can we play a game?" Mina smiled. "Of course, Aaron. Let's enjoy our yard now that everything is peaceful." Raj laughed and joined his son. "Yes, Beta. Today is for happiness." As they played, the neighbors waved and smiled from their yards. Some came over to chat. It felt like a true community, united and fair. Raj realized that their struggle had not only protected their family, but had also created a better environment for everyone. Weeks later, a formal notice arrived at every house. It stated that all unfair fines collected by Karen must be returned to homeowners. The missing money from the HOA fund was recovered and recorded properly. The notice also emphasized that future fines must follow transparent procedures, and that any committee member acting outside the rules would face strict action. Mina read the notice aloud to Raj and Arun. "It is official. The community is safe again." Raj smiled and said, "We did not just protect our home, we protected everyone's home. That is something to be proud of." As the sun set, Raj, Mina, and Arun sat on the porch together. The white fence gleamed in the soft evening light. Aaron kicked the ball gently toward the fence, laughing. Mina brushed the grass from her hands and said, "It feels like a fresh start, doesn't it?" Raj nodded. "Yes, and we learned something important. Standing up for truth and fairness is never easy, but it is always worth it." The community slowly returned to normal routines. Neighbors helped each other with gardening, home repairs, and school pickups. Children played freely on the streets without fear of complaints. The HOA committee worked transparently, and Raj and Mina were often invited to guide new families on understanding the rules. One evening, as the family sat together, a police officer from the earlier visit stopped by. He smiled warmly at Mina. "I heard about your courage and how the neighborhood is improving. Your family's calm and honesty set a great example." Mina blushed slightly and said politely, "We just wanted to do what was right." The officer nodded and saluted her respectfully. Arun clapped his hands with excitement and Raj laughed. It seems some respect stays with good people forever. Months passed and Oakview Park became a model community in the city. News of the HOA reform and the fair handling of funds spread quietly. People from other neighborhoods visited to learn how to run an honest HOA. Raj and Mina's story inspired many families to speak up against unfair treatment without fear. Oren ran through the garden one last time before dinner, laughing freely. Mina called him inside and Raj followed, looking around at the peaceful homes. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink hues. It was a perfect evening. Raj held Mina's hand and whispered, "No matter what challenges come, if we stay united and honest, we can face anything." Mina smiled warmly. "Yes, together, we are stronger than any obstacle." As the stars appeared in the sky over Oakview Park, the neighborhood felt alive with hope. Families laughed, children played, and the community had rediscovered its spirit of fairness, unity, and trust. Raj, Mina, and Arun sat together, knowing that they had changed their world, and that their courage had made a lasting difference. Karen never regained control, and slowly she moved away from the neighborhood. Her threats became nothing more than memories. The residents of Oakview Park had learned that honesty, courage, and unity were stronger than fear, and they celebrated that knowledge every day. The white fence in front of Raj and Mina's house became a symbol of perseverance, fairness, and truth. Aaron often ran past it with his ball, laughing freely. The community had survived the storm, and now it could grow stronger than ever. Raj looked at his family and whispered, "This is our home, and we will protect it with truth and courage. Always." Mina nodded, smiling. Aaron jumped up happily and shouted, "Let's play!" And for the first time in years, Oakview Park felt truly at peace.